What's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to be going over how you can use AI to review sales calls like a pro. And this is a big part of my process nowadays. So I'm super excited for this one. I hope you are too. And if you're sitting there right now and your close rate is not steadily improving, your first instinct should never be to blame the leads. Nobody cares, just get better. And when it comes to getting better at sales, most people know what to do already, right? You're reviewing your sales calls, you're doing mock calls, you're reviewing your process, iterating, implementing, seeing if it works out. And when it comes to AI playing a role in that process, AI is just not going to close deals for you. It's not there quite yet. Thank God I'd be out of a job. A lot of other people would. And to be honest, I don't think it will be for a long, long time when it comes to closing high ticket B2B deals like this. However, where AI can play a massive role is by just helping you get better quicker because you can review your process so much quicker and more in depth than previously possible. And if you're new here, my name is Dan Crowley. I'm one of the co-founders at Ascension and ListKit, where I manage a team of 10 plus closers pulling in over $1 million a month. And in this video, I'm going to be going over how I use AI every single day personally to improve our sales process. And starting out, one of my favorite things about sales, and in my opinion, the most beautiful thing about sales, is that you can get good at it very quickly. And AI has only accelerated that. Now you can get better quicker than ever before. The reason why is because the feedback loop is immediate, right? Like you can bomb one call, diagnose why, change your process, your offer, etc. And the next prospect could be an hour later. We'll have no idea that you just sound like the worst salesman in the world on that last one. Right? You can go from zero to hero, call to call, day-to-day basis. And I've seen it with people that can't close anybody to now they're consistently closing people. Now they're at a 25% close rate, 35, 40%, 50%. And it can happen quickly so long as you're putting the work, right? But nothing changes if nothing changes. This is only going to work if you're putting in the work to figure out why you're not closing, iterating, and implementing. The singular best thing you can do in this whole process, in my experience, is reviewing your sales calls. It's not sexy. It can be really boring, but your call recordings can be gold mines if you know how to use them. And as I mentioned, most people already know this stuff, but the most common feedback that I get from business owners is I don't have the time to do that. And odds are that's cope. Even business owners have the time to review at least one call per week, the old way, the manual way, just sitting there and taking notes, which is what I recommend for busy entrepreneurs, just doing it at least one time per week. But I understand where they're coming from, right? Trying to review calls every day just doesn't work if sales isn't your only focus. And even if it is, I would still recommend using AI. So I'm going to break down what that looks like. So first off, record your damn calls and connect it to an LLM, please. Just not doing this right now is malpractice in sales, in my opinion. So I recommend using Fireflies, which is a pretty basic recorder, just because it has a direct integration with Claude and ChatGPT, which I use. So long as you're on a paid plan, this stuff isn't expensive. It's about $20 per month for the plan that you would need for this. You get access to this feature, which alone justifies the cost, in my opinion, even if you do nothing else with Claude or ChatGPT. So to show you what that looks like, it's relatively simple. You would just go into the settings, the connectors, and then boom, these are just both natively in there. If you want to find more connectors, you can just hit browse connectors and look at the other things that they have in there. But because they have Fireflies inside of Claude and HubSpot, our CRM, so I can ask questions about like, hey, what's the difference between these 50 transcripts and these 10 people that are in the close one column inside of HubSpot. And I can just find that really quickly without ever having to go into either platform, just staying in a Claude chat right there. Right. So personally, for most of this, I use Claude for what I'm going to break down, just because I like the copywriting a little bit better, which I sometimes use when there's like a really clear problem that we have. And I'm like, well, this is actually the way that the process plays out. Can you just create like a quick spiel for my team so they can see it for reference on what to say in this situation? So if it's a new selling point, a way to address concern, I just like Claude a little bit better. But if you use ChatGPT and want to stick with that, I haven't noticed a huge performance difference. Meaning if you're already paying for one, just stick with that. They both have the same connections to both Fireflies and HubSpot, in my opinion. So once again, the main important thing is connecting the recorder to the LLM. We connect our CRM, but that's really a nice to have, not a need to have, because I'm really just referencing who closed and who didn't. So if you don't have massive deal volume, you could probably just look it up yourself and just ask them to review those transcripts specifically. So now you have access, instant access to your transcripts paired with the best tech in the world. So what do you do? And what's the result of it? Well, one of the big results is that things that used to take me personally hours to figure out now take minutes. So here's what I'm usually trying to diagnose. What concerns do prospects have coming into the call? And based on our call links, I'm usually asking Claude to find these concerns that are popping up in the first 20 minutes of the call when we're qualifying somebody in discovery, or maybe they just give it to us right off the bat. And this is going to guide what feedback I give to marketing, what pre-call assets I should create to get these prospects really just in line with what we sell before the call even happens, how we run discovery and our pre-pitch, right? As you notice, whenever I see a concern, I'm trying to really solve for that as high up in the funnel as I possibly can. And at the latest before I pitch, which would be in the pre-pitch. So I'm giving all of this feedback that I have, just, okay, this is the things that are going through prospects' heads before the call. I'm feeding that to my partner, Daniel, who handles all the marketing. And when it comes to like something that really seems to be a blocker that's affecting the effectiveness of discovery or just making the pitch fall flat, I'm usually trying to build out a pre-call asset and include that in the pre-call email, stick it in the calendar invite wherever I can. Then we go into discovery. Okay, this seems to be a concern with people. Are we addressing it? Because if it's a concern, there's usually not too many new concerns, questions under the sun. A lot of the times people are thinking the same exact things. So if not, we might as well just proactively address this. Meaning, if I run a content creation offer, and a lot of people seem to be concerned about the time it would take to create content or just putting my face out there in public, but somebody's just kind of quietly sitting through discovery and they don't bring it up as a concern. I know in the back of their head it's there somewhere. I should just proactively discuss that with them in discovery to make sure I check that box before moving on. Now, going a little bit deeper, what objections do prospects have after hearing the pitch? And I'll tell AI what our pitch sounds like and to analyze the reasons prospects aren't moving forward while we're pitching and closing. And this is going to guide how I review a closer's pitch and objection handling skills. Because with different people, with Logan versus Peter versus Lucian versus Andrew versus Jose versus like all of our different closers, they may struggle with different things, right? So you have like all the transcripts I can loop in from the team, but then on a closer to closer basis, this may be different. And this is where I'm going to get a ton out of in just team meetings and one-on-ones, just saying, okay, I know this person from the AI deep dives has problems with this specific issue. Let's just hop on a mock call, and to save my time, instead of going through the 30, 45-minute mock call, let's just spend 5 minutes on this objection specifically and give them that feedback and see if they're actually able to process through their head what they're doing wrong and how they can implement that. So next, what is our resolution rate when handling these objections? And I usually tell AI to rank our resolution rate, like how well we're doing to actually handle the objection successfully to a point where, you know, they're over it or they're ready to close. And I usually do it in just low, medium, or high. Now, I know what objections are really holding the teams back and which ones to prioritize. Because obviously, if our team is getting an objection, but they have a high resolution rate, not a big issue, right? They're handling it anyways. But if they have a very low resolution rate, okay, we got to go back through. We got to be able to thoroughly train these guys, get better, iterate, and implement before ever changing the offer, right? If you're not doing these things and you're just like, well, people said it's too expensive, let's just change the offer, you're going to enter a race to the bottom and your business is going to die. Right? So make sure you're checking all of these boxes before you actually make a drastic company-wide change that's going to affect everybody. Like if you can handle it in the sales function, that's much better, much easier for everybody involved. Next, what could I have done to create more urgency in discovery? And I'm going to tell AI to just help us understand why we're not able to get people to move forward quicker. And out of that shopping mindset into a holy shit, I need to act right now mindset, because the cost of me doing nothing is more expensive than what we're selling. The reason why I love this one is because the number one thing reps struggle with in discovery is creating more urgency. That's pretty much been true across all of our offers. It's very easy to miss something in an hour-long transcript. But when you have AI, this is why, like I mentioned, even if you had time to do all the call recordings manually yourself, I would still recommend using AI. If you were prompting it correctly, it's great at picking up these red flags that we didn't address and parts of our process that were skipped by the closer that really could have helped this person. So after that, why didn't I close the call, right? And I'm telling AI to help us understand why we weren't able to successfully get this person over the finish line. Did we just not ask them to move forward on the call? What could I have done differently? Like our process is to stay in the pocket and not allow these prospects to leave without giving us a yes, a no, or very clear next steps. Did we actually follow that? What I mean by staying in the pocket, it's kind of just like a football reference. Like you got to hang in there, right? Until something develops down the field, you got to stay calm, even if you're getting, people coming in and about to knock your head off. Like it's very important that you're staying in the pocket, holding people accountable at the end of the call, and not just letting them off. Because if you do that, your close rate is going to suffer. And the reason why I love this one is because similar to the number one issue in discovery, this is the number one issue reps have when closing, is just holding the prospects accountable to what they told us in discovery by making them take action. If we have clear guidelines, like I mentioned above, which is yes, no, or clear next steps, then AI will do a great job of figuring out what actually happened on the call, not just what the closer told me happened, and how to optimize for a different outcome, which is one of the three that we want above. Even if it's a no, I'm fine with that. You got to seek decisions, not just like validations, people being like, yo, you're the best salesman, great pitch. No, we don't want that. We want a yes, no, or very clear next steps. So I know that's a lot, but how do I make sure this is actually good feedback? And that's really important too. I still, once again, even if you're a busy entrepreneur, recommend people just build a habit. Even if it's a Saturday at a coffee shop where there's no meetings, just get a fucking coffee, a croissant, relax a little bit, throw on a call, review a minimum of one call per week for your team, just to make sure that your AI is just not hallucinating and just making stuff up, right? It's very good right now. It'll continue to get better. But if you're not doing the manual work, it's going to be a major failure point in your process. And you'll notice over time, if you don't touch it at all, the prompts, the AI, it's going to hallucinate. It's going to get overly agreeable with what you're doing. AI just naturally seems to do that with everything, which is bad. But if you continue to check its work, we can catch this so it's never so bad that it becomes detrimental to our process because it's inflating our reps' egos, telling them to do the wrong thing, et cetera, et cetera. You really just have to continue to tweak the prompt every now and then. A lot of times when I'm doing these AI deep dives, because I'm still watching a call a week at least, I'm going to look at everything that the prompt gave me or the output gave me, and I'm just going to copy and paste certain things from the transcript. Like things that I know aren't true or don't make sense in the context of our offer, I'm just going to leave out. So that manual control is still really good. And think about it with anything. Like if you're putting out content, if you're writing an email to somebody, yeah, AI is great because it can help you just take that thing that used to take hours down to minutes, but you still want to manually check it. So make sure that you're doing that. And to give you guys a real example of this, I actually just did a prompt up here. So as you can see here, all I did was I just asked, hey, Claude, how many transcripts can you find with a meeting name containing AI-assisted agency and Fireflies? Because that's like what our meeting names start with every single time. It says, okay, I found 50 transcripts. It almost always finds 50. I think it just gets rate limited after that. And I go, okay, that's perfect. And I literally just give the same questions that we just said. What concerns do prospects have coming in the call? What objections do prospects have after hearing our pitch? When's our resolution rate with these objections? Please rank those. What could we have done to create more urgency? Why don't we close on the call? Basically just gave the same exact questions. You can see it's pretty darn solid stuff here. So as we're scrolling down, like for qualifying on budget, that usually comes up as a concern. Not a surprise. If you don't get budget objections regularly, especially with client Ascension, that is B2B, but also kind of B2C at this point with people looking to launch an agency or probably just not charging enough. Timingness, readiness issues, like I've got a personal trip, I've got this wedding, especially around holidays. No surprise there. Follow through anxiety, like especially with beginners who've never done anything before. Yeah, they're just not sure if they're the person that's capable of scaling a business. Cash flow, liquidity constraints. Because if it's not a person who's running a business and they're looking at this more as a personal expense, they're like, damn, I spend this much on rent, I spend this much on groceries, now I'm going to spend this much on this. And they're kind of comparing it on that length. Clarity on the offer, what they should actually sell. And you can see here, price objections after the pitch. You can see kind of which ones are still remaining here. The resolution rate on each of those. Why resolution rate is medium low. Sales reps are too accommodating. And like you can watch me scroll through all of this stuff here. And it's really good. Why didn't I close? Just accepting soft no's, which is a major issue. And it's giving like real examples here as well. Letting them off the hook on budget, not using a sharp angle close. I understand I could get you on a pin plan of that, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so you read through this. It's pretty darn good stuff. I'll continue to go through it. And it also gives you just like immediate fixes that we could do here. Create urgency, use Ben Franklin close. I haven't seen this one right here. Yeah, just showing them like ROI-based logic makes sense. Bottom line, and this kind of punched us in the face, but this is usually what your team needs to hear. Your sales team has good rapport building skills and product knowledge, but they're too polite and accommodating. They need to embrace healthy tension, ask harder questions, and not let prospects leave without getting a real yes or no. The thinking it over is killing your close rate. That's phenomenal stuff right there. So just to show you guys that it's good and helpful for proof, we're going to take it to the next step. But before I do that and show you how to go even further in depth and show you kind of like what the next level of this is to have AI review every single one of your calls, just want to take a quick pause into action. If you're an agency owner looking to use Claude, ChatGPT, N8N, which I'm about to get into to get your sales process to the next level, our AI-assisted agency program will be able to help you leverage AI to improve your sales process and really every other part of your business so you can make more money, have better profit margins, and a smaller headcount while you do it. We've done this with 1,000+ agencies at this point. So click the link below to learn more about how building an AI-assisted agency with Client Ascension can help you out. Okay, back to using AI to build a killer sales process. Now, let's use AI to not only just diagnose specific issues, but to literally review every call. Like with most things, when it comes to like figuring anything out, it's good to do it yourself first, right? And not just be like, okay, I'll just have AI do it. And what I mean by that is before building out what I'm about to show you, you should be closing consistently or using the advice above, like diagnosing specific issues to figure out why you're not closing consistently. Meaning you want to have a functioning process before you do what I'm about to show you. Now, once you've closed a handful of deals and you have a repeatable process, and if you want a repeatable process, in my last video, I broke down what every single call should look like to have a productive sales conversation. Basically just a script breakdown from A to Z. So check that thing out. But once you have that process that's repeatable, that's closing deals, at least consistently at some level, now you can start to use AI to review every single one of your calls. And you only need 3 things. It's really simple. You need a prompt, you need a script, and you need the rubric. That's all. Now, I take all these things, the prompt, our script, and my grading rubric, and I condense it all into one single prompt. And I put everything on a Google Doc so it's easy for me to go back and edit, because like I mentioned, you want to be able to edit the prompt and edit the rubric on an ongoing basis. Then I just set up a pretty simple workflow. One of my guys set this up using N8N to 1, take the transcript from Fireflies as soon as the call is completed. 2, have the call ran through my prompt, which is a way to score it and then give you critical feedback or give the rep critical feedback. And then 3, this is just another nice thing about N8N, it'll take that feedback, it'll put it in a Google Doc so it's easier to read with the review. So it's like giving you a score. You'll see how it all works in a second here. And then giving like, okay, what you did well, what you need to focus on next, just to get like quick feedback for the team that they can take after every single call. And then it's going to send a message in Slack containing the call score, a link to the call recording for the rep, and a link to the review breakdown doc. So it's pretty sick. It's gonna be like, okay, you scored a 3 out of 10. Here's a link to the call recording. Here's a link to the review breakdown. And usually those bad calls that need a lot of feedback are the ones that get pretty quick attention, because the sales guy's sitting there like, holy shit, I just got roasted. They just said my call was a 3 out of 10. Now, how do you control the quality here? As I mentioned above, we're still doing manual call reviews, at least one per week. And much more often than that, we're reviewing the feedback. Because I'm getting this review doc sent after every single call, I can tweak the prompt as much as I want based on if it seems like it's consistently off. And if it is, that's exactly what I do. Then lastly, we compile all of the call scores. And this is just another part of the N8N workflow, where now we're getting all of these call scores and we're just able to put it into a Google sheet, and it kind of registers based on who the host of the meeting is, which is the closer, and what their scores are throughout a month. And I'm able to see compositely who has the best score on the team each month. Now, this is far less important than cash collected, close rate, like the regular KPIs on your team, but it can help us understand if better scores actually lead to better performance. And if not, something needs to be tweaked, right? I don't want AI hallucinating and like rewarding our worst closer, and our worst closer is like, but then I had the best AI scores. Like, no, like we care about cash collected closes, new clients coming in the door. So to show you guys what this looks like, which is pretty freaking baller, I'm going to go all the way to the top here. Okay, so prompt is basically, you are a ListKit sales team coach. ListKit is a SaaS platform that provides lead generation tools. Your job is to analyze the sales team's calls and give critical feedback and positive reinforcement based on the call transcripts. I'm going to be training you on how to give the best feedback in order to maximize the team's close rate and cash collected while setting proper expectations for the customer success team. So the grading rubric for the ListKit sales teams, use your own logic based on my feedback to openly score each part of the call and generate a composite score out of 60. Then leave key takeaways for the rep on where they can improve, or where they can focus most to improve their score. I'm going to make a rubric that is as thorough as possible, but still leaves room for you to make gut feeling judgment calls to ultimately generate the score that will give you guys the feedback that leads directly to our goal, giving it that ultimate goal to maximize the team close rate and cash collected while setting proper expectations for the customer success team. Now, after this, I just plugged in our script. I don't want to go through that because it's pretty similar to what I've showed you in previous videos, my last video specifically. Going down into this, you guys can see I gave it more information on like how to set a follow-up call specifically. So I'm just like brain dumping stuff about our sales process inside of here. Now I'm going into like the actual scoring itself, and like opening report and agenda, not that important. So it's like 3 points out of 60, right? And I kind of just gave it a weighted scale. It doesn't need to be out of 60, guys. I just started ranking things and it just came out to be 60 points. But basically, the more important, the more consequential parts of the call, I'm going to give a higher ranking in terms of the number of points here. So it's more heavily focused on and goes more into the composite score that you see here. But I literally just wrote out examples. 0 would be this, 1 would be this, 2 would be this, 3 would be this. Now, discovery is 15 points. But each part of discovery that I broke down in the last call here, 0 points would be this, 1 point would be this, 2 points would be this, 0 points would be this, 1 point would be this, 2 points would be this, right? So I go through this for quite literally every part of the call, which is pretty psycho. I actually didn't use AI for this. You probably could use AI for this after a while, but it took me one time to build out, and this was just kind of like a late night with a lot of stimulants involved, and I was able to just write this thing out by hand. But you do this one time, because I just looked at it like, guys, I spend hours reviewing calls. If I just spend 3 hours probably writing this thing out, I can have AI review every single call for me. So how many hours am I actually getting back? It's really a no-brainer when you put it that way. Like things like this are kind of a pain in the ass to build out, but that's business, right? So I gave it literally as much as I possibly could and ranked every single part of the call while also kind of making sure they're setting proper expectations for the customer success team. And it's pretty cool. Every single time the call is reviewed, I just blacked out sensitive information here. This message is sent, link to the call recording, score, it just writes out the score. And then it also gives them a link to this doc. And you could see this one was for Evan. It gave him the scores on this. I asked it to use real evidence from the call. And it's showing you each and every part of the call, which is pretty awesome. And this was not an awesome call. It was a 44 out of 60, which is 73%, which the letter grade is C. So I send all of this stuff inside of there. It does that automatically. But the key takeaways and recommendations are actually pretty strong. So strengths, excellent rapport and adaptability to the client's distracted, high pressure situation. Led a strong, thorough discovery, uncovering goals, pains, operational realities, and just like knowing like Evan and how he conducts calls, like he does a really good job inside discovery. Articulated the offer clearly using specific relevant client examples to bridge value. Areas for improvement though. He didn't set an explicit agenda at the start. Guy probably just took frame right off the bat to really just say, okay, here's what the expectation is going into this call. Here's how I'm going to steer the conversation. You can see because the score went off the rails on him a little bit. Use a more assertive, structured close, summarize, trial close, and secure next steps, or the commitment, where it seemed like this was kind of just an influx next step. Nothing really there that was like, hey, this is exactly what's going to happen afterwards, which if you're not getting a yes or a no is an absolute must for a team. And just sharpen objection handling by reframing on value, ROI, or proactively proposing ways to overcome financial logistic hurdles or accelerate the follow-up, which just like in B2B sales, this is awesome advice and just a good reminder. And these reminders are coming through after the completion of every single call once again. So pretty cool stuff. Now, how else can I use AI to help the sales process? Because we went pretty deep into reviews, which is like by far and away the biggest place where I get the most out of it, because that's also where I was spending most of my time, aside from team meetings, which I'm obviously still doing the team meetings, all the regular leadership stuff that goes with having a high performance team. But what else can you use it for? Follow-ups, marketing, and more. Another area, like we've actually used AI quite a bit, is in follow-ups when someone gets off the call struggling with a clear objection or when they're ghosting. Those seem to be like the two big use cases. So you can use that transcript to just craft a really good email handling the objection using what they told you, which is always going to be more powerful than just sharing your opinion without context. Because obviously, and probably you did this on the call and it didn't work. Whereas like the best way to get somebody out of this bad mindset that they're in is by using the things that they told you earlier on in the call. One of these guys, Bill Walsh, had like a good, like funny thing on like how you just got to choke prospects with their own words. So really helpful when you have the transcript to refer back onto, because I know that sometimes I'll hop off an hour-long call and I'm like, I don't even remember what we spoke about. When you have enough calls, sometimes you're just having some of those brain foggy days. Now, if they're ghosting, AI can also be really good because it can just look over that transcript with more detail than a human could to catch things that we missed so we can proactively address these concerns and get back to getting them in the conversation, right? Like something you missed. Once again, it's all about ownership. It's not the leads, it's you every single time. Even if it's not, that's the best mindset that's going to serve you and help you make the most money. Something there we miss. There's some red flag. If we're genuinely perplexed on why this person is ghosting, that we could have addressed on the call, but we just didn't. So I can help you catch that for you and obviously help you craft pretty good follow-up. Outside of that, my co-founder Daniel consistently uses call transcripts for ad creatives, VSLs that we build out, content creation, basically all of his copy, right? And if you're not doing this, you're just not listening to the market, the people that are actually taking the time to hop on a call with you, which usually is a horrible idea for you and your business. AI mock calls are growing in popularity, but transparently, I just haven't used them much beyond a demo or two. So I'm not the guy to ask if those are good, but obviously more tools are out there in the market and more tools are growing. I'm still having my team do mock calls with each other just because I see it as a chance for team members to work together and both get something out of it, right? It's kind of like team building and improving. So two birds, one stone type of deal. But that's pretty much it, guys. Even if you're using AI to improve your sales process quickly, you can still feel overwhelmed, especially if you're doing founder-led sales, right? So this stuff does take time. Now, if you don't want to go at this alone, if you've got leads, but not as many calls as you'd like, and your plate is already full, that's when it would be time to bring on a setter. And if you want to learn how to close 12 more deals per month by using a setter the right way, my next video breaks down the exact system. You'll see how many leads you need for a setter, the script they use, their workflow, and the KPIs that actually lead to more revenue. Link is on the screen right now. Let's keep winning. Peace.